Being a parent is a rough gig no matter what situation you find yourself in, but it's especially bad if you find yourself in a Christmas movie. Let's rank the different parents from some famous Christmas movies to see just how good they actually are. If you like ranking and tier list videos, make sure to subscribe. I do them all the time over here on the channel. I'm open to suggestions too when it comes to things to rank. Let's go ahead and get started. Bob Cratchit from A Christmas Carol has got to be the top when it comes to Christmas parents, right? This guy is working a job that is awful, but he keeps a great attitude, and his kid reflects it, right? You don't get a kid like Tiny Tim just out of nowhere.
A remarkable child.
He's always taking Tiny Tim out doing things. He's always making sure that he's included. And some people might say, hey, he should have got a better job. But guess what? Sticking with that crummy job really pays off once he becomes like a partner there at the end of the story. So, you know, hard work paid off for this guy at least. It's really nice to see good things happen to good people, right? So Bob Cratchit, he's got to be up there near the very top. I'm putting him in S tier for sure.
Oh, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Daddy!
It's a Wonderful Life is going to be the next movie we're going to talk about. And they've got George Bailey is the dad in here. Now, he's not a dad for a ton of the movie. And to be fair, you only really get to see him be a dad on legitimately the worst day of his entire life. He's getting ready to go to jail. Right? His uncle has lost $8,000. So he's kind of like at his wit's end. And he comes home and, of course, the kids are like playing the piano and like asking him how to spell words. And a kid is sick. And he's just like going off. But there's something I think is important to remember, and that's that George Bailey does apologize, and it isn't later on down the road. It's like right then he realizes, he's like, man, my problem is not these kids, my problem is me.
Janie, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. You go on and practice.
And I think that's an important thing to realize as a parent, right? You're gonna mess up. To think you're going to be perfect is delusional. And to be able to come to your kid and say, hey, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have talked to you that way, is a real good thing to see. Obviously, this is not normal in the way that he's acting because the kids are very friendly towards him and coming up to him and wanting to be involved with him. The guy is above average in how he treats everybody, and so I think that he's definitely going to be at least A tier. If we had more to go off of, I would think maybe he could be even higher.
To my big brother George, the richest man in town.
So when we get to A Christmas Story, we have the old man and the mom, and for them, I think they're B tier. They're definitely above average when it comes to parents. They're definitely heavily involved in like what is going on. They're around a lot. They're doing a lot of things with their kids. They are very memorable. The things they're doing are trying to make the lives of those kids better. They're showing the kids how to be flexible, right? Plans change. It's not the end of the world. They get to go to the restaurant, right? Plus the old man coming in clutch with the BB gun. It's just so good. Should he have talked it over with his wife first? Maybe, but either way. Overall, it's really obvious that they care about their kids and everything. They're not putting them in any danger or anything, which is not something we can say about everybody on this list.
Thanks a lot.
So then we jump into Gremlins, and the dad from Gremlins, I think, is just kind of negligent, right? He's traveling and stuff for business. That's whatever. His kid's a bit older and everything too. Like whatever, it doesn't matter. But the fact that he's like bringing home this pet without talking to his kid about it first, it's not smart, right? Pets for Christmas, it's not always the best idea, especially if you're expecting the kid to be responsible for him. I know I bring a gremlin home for Christmas. I bring a mogwai home. I'm the one who's going to be taking care of that thing. So I'm going to put him in C tier. He's not awful. He's obviously not doing anything that's intentionally putting anybody in danger, but he does kind of lead to the outbreak of the gremlins throughout the whole town. So kind of all on this guy.
That's no problem. That's absolutely no problem.
Now, when it comes to people who do put their family in danger intentionally, I got to put Clark Griswold, pretty low. The movie, even just if it was just the scene at the beginning of the movie where he's like road raging with the guy, it's just not something you can do. It's too real, in my opinion, as a dad. You just got to let those things go. You can't do that because you end up in situations where you're driving under a semi. He's also not setting a great example for his son, right? When he's like blatantly hitting on this lady or this girl, right? Even at the mall.
Can I take something out for you?
Now, you might say that reflects more on him as a husband, which is true. But I think part of being a parent is trying to, reflect like how your kid should grow up to act. And that's not something that you would want your kid to be doing, right?
Can't see the line, can you, Russ?
No.
Because this movie takes place over a number of days and everything, we get a better view of him. And then also, we have other movies that we can look back to as well. The things that he's doing in this are repeat behavior and things that his family know. He's like, oh, he's going to go crazy. He's going to set him off. I got to put Clark in D tier. Like, I can't go higher than that.
I did it.
Now, joining Clark in D tier is going to be Kate and then also Peter McCallister from the Home Alone movies.
Kevin!
And you might say D tier, Seth. Yeah, sure, they left the kid alone, but then she goes through so much to go and get to him. Like, she's flying on those like crazy flights and she's riding in the back of vans and everything. And I'd say, yeah, sure, that's great. If she didn't, then do it again. Once is, okay, yeah, accidents happen, right? It was a crazy day. It's not like anything went the way they wanted it to. But twice.
We did it again!
And the cops in Home Alone 2 know it. They see it and they're like, Does it change the amount of emotion this movie pulls out of me at the end of Home Alone 1 or 2? No, it does not. Movies are very effective. They're very good movies. But when it comes to being a parent, I'm not going to give them a pass on this one. They got to be in that D tier.
Has he ever been in a situation where he's been on his own?
But no amount of accidents or neglect are going to be able to reach the amount of badness that a parent is if they're just deliberately trying to kill their kid. And guess what? In Batman Returns, that's what we get from Mr. and Mrs. Cobblepot here. They are just trying to straight up murder their little baby. Now, I'm not justifying this at all, but their baby does seem to legitimately be some type of a monster. We're not talking about the way that he looks and everything. We're talking about the fact that he's like ripping a cat into his little playpen. But again, it does not justify dumping a baby into a river. So there's no getting around it. These people are F tier. They're garbage. So now we're going to get to the only movie where I'm going to have two different sets of parents to mention. That's going to be the Santa Claus. And we're going to have Scott Calvin in one side, and then we're going to have Laura and Neil on the other side. So let's go ahead and talk about Scott first. He's D tier, right? He's not great before he becomes Santa Claus. And then later, the only thing that is like, hey, he's good, it's because he's Santa Claus. He doesn't immediately take his kid back to his mom, who is looking for him and so worried that the police are trying to, find them. It doesn't matter like what your kid wants or what you want in that situation. You gotta take your kid back to the mom. You can't be doing this. He also yells at Charlie a lot, which, for the amount of time he's getting to spend with the kid, I feel like the proportion of time spent yelling to minutes with child is very, very out of whack. Plus, he does murder somebody in front of his kid, so not the best.
You killed him.
Did not.
Now, we contrast that with Laura and Neil, and I think I'm going to put them real high. I think I might almost go S tier.
Well, if that's how you feel, Charlie.
They are trying their absolute best to deal with all of this stuff that is going on around them. And it's so weird that as a kid, you look at them and you're like, man, they're lame. Neil is lame. And I'm like, Neil is the man. And I'm not just jealous of his sweater game because looks good.
You were right about the sweater. Okay.
These two are desperately trying to connect with Charlie and make sure that he's, getting what he needs and understands what's really going on. They rightfully think that Scott is going insane because he is just look at the guy.
I'm in big trouble.
They're doing the right things, the hard things when it comes to contacting the authorities. Again, that's not going to be an easy call to make, right? You think that your ex-husband has stolen your child. These people are put in one of the hardest situations that I can imagine when it comes to a Christmas movie. But really the thing that clinches it for me is that once they do have that 100% proof, hey, Scott is Santa Claus. they're like, all right, I get it. I understand.
Santa? It's okay, Neil.
And I think that, you know, again, a lot like George Bailey, admitting that you're wrong about something is not easy to do. And then they step in and they, you know, do this whole co-parenting thing with Charlie. So that's always good too. So good for them. Good for them finding that balance. It's got to be hard having to do all that with Scott Calvin.
Nice sweater, buddy.
Then we have one of my personal favorites, Jingle All The Way, Howard and Liz. Howard, of course, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. The whole movie is about how this guy is a bad dad. He's very neglectful, right? He's missing karate practices so that he can be selling mattresses. He's always playing the victim, which is super annoying. Like, oh, I can't believe I got pulled over and all this stuff. It's like, yo, bro, this is on you. And as much as like we will continue to point out all the bad things that Howard is doing, we really got to mention that Liz is trusting this guy here to take care of getting the most important Christmas present of the year. And that's kind of on her, man. Like, this guy has done nothing to show that he is up to that task.
Because at this point, they'd probably be impossible to find.
But if you jump back to Howard, you know, again, it is one of those things where it's like he's got this bad day and he goes and he redeems himself in one day. But this is not the first time he's done that. In the movie, even, they're like, yeah, I built that playhouse and Jamie loved it and I was the hero that day. And that's literally the same thing that's happening here. He has done this before. He started neglecting his family again then, and he's probably going to just do it again here. I mean, there's the post-credit scene where you find out, oh, he didn't even buy his wife anything.
What did you get me?
I don't know. I love this movie. It's very funny. But if you're just going to rank him on a realistic scale of being a parent, he's got to be pretty low. I was originally going to just put him in C tier, but he does also unintentionally put his kid in serious risk of being maimed or dying, right? Because he's made enemies with a postal worker who is completely deranged and is out for blood. We're super lucky that this story does not end with Jamie plastered all over the concrete and Howard in jail.
Here's to you, Dad.
And that's going to finish up my quick little ranking of some Christmas movie parents. Let me know if I forgot anybody down in the comments below. Thanks so much for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe if you like tier lists and rankings. And thanks so much to the people who support the channel over on Patreon. You can do so as well by just going to patreon.com/Seth Bailey. And until next time, you take care and we will see you later.